Welcome to Show Me What I've Been Missing, the pop culture podcast that takes you, the other host, and hopefully you, the viewer, on a journey. And the other host in this scenario is my good friend Chris Mack.
Hello, I'm here.
I realized I didn't say my own name just now. I'm Elizabeth Stanton. The professional.
Yeah. Keep it fresh.
Yes. So, as we are tackling Sex and the City,
Yes.
the series, something Chris has never seen. We took a little break for something I'd never seen, but between last week and this week, we're back deep in the heart of New York in 1998.
Yeah.
For an episode called Three's a Crowd. Gee, I wonder what this episode was about.
You know, it was about being a third wheel on a date. So he's like, when people, like sometimes couples, when they don't like, no.
It's about as subtle as a hammer to the head. It's about threesomes.
You know what, low-key though, I was only being funny, but low-key I thought that's what it was gonna be about. Like, you know, like sometimes, you know, couples when like, you know, the friend just went through a breakup or like they're a little bit lonely, you know, they'll invite them on the date with them, even though they really don't want to, but it's like we can't leave them alone. So I was like, oh, it's gonna be an episode full of this, and I thought it was gonna be like all this hilarious stuff, and then it turned out to be about threesomes, and I was like, oh, okay. A little twist.
There is a sketch I like from Mr. Show with Bob and David, with David Cross and Bob Odenkirk from back in the 90s on HBO as well. But there's something where David Cross is singing "Legend, Legend, the third wheel, legend, always in the way," and it's the guy is a third wheel. And he's like,
nice.
It builds to this like huge sing along. It's really funny. Highly recommend. I love that series.
Well, in this episode, it seems like for the most part, a third wheel was welcome.
Yeah, people were like, slap a tire on there. Let's do this.
Oh man. You know, so the big thing that I have to talk about right now first is sex ads in a newspaper. You don't see that anymore. This is like this is
pre-Craigslist, baby.
Pre-Craigslist, exactly. Yep. And like, man, the thing about it was it kind of threw me off because I know when I was younger, not that I read the newspaper often, but I know at some point I feel like I have seen sex ads in a newspaper, but
or like singles like looking
at least dating ads.
Dating
for
ads.
Sure, dating ads. I don't know if I remember sex ads too much, but I know I remember seeing like dating ads. But it's interesting how we've almost kind of regressed in when it comes to like how outward and open we are for sex, because now if you want a threesome, now we got Craigslist, and it's like, you know, like you know, as the internet came, like our sexuality kind of got, you know, as far as America goes, kind of got pushed into this little corner. It's like, all right, here's where you can be as freaky as you want to.
Yeah.
But in 1998, everybody seemed, I mean, to put an ad in the paper, that's really open. You know what I mean? Even though, of course, you didn't use your real name and, you know, use aliases and things of that nature, and you had secret codes and stuff of that nature, that's always the same. But it's to put it in a newspaper, that's pretty bold.
In print is bold, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, too. This is 1998. A bunch of people in New York, newspapers everywhere, somebody's going to see it. So to have the balls to be like, hey, let's do a threesome and put it in the paper, man.
Yeah.
That's wild.
This was another good use of the man on the street with everybody reading off the ads, because my favorite was the X-Files couple. They were looking for a Scully lookalike, and I died. I loved it so much. I was like, oh, I hope those two are still together.
Yeah. Well, isn't that the couple that ended up with Miranda at the bar?
No, that was just
that's like, oh, I'm about to say, man, because like she fits the, you know, the description.
She has the red hair, yeah.
Has the red hair, you know. She doesn't look like Scully, but
right.
She at least has the red hair, and she's pretty. So you know, gotta shave off a few requirements to get to. But okay, speaking of her.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up with your girl Miranda this episode? Yeah.
You know what? Here's what I wrote down.
My girl got some deep issues, man.
So for a little context, before we'll go deeper into the Charlotte business in a minute, but Charlotte's boyfriend keeps pestering her for a threesome, and Charlotte brings it up at lunch, and Charlotte says, oh, I'd want Carrie to be in my threesome if I had to pick a friend, and Carrie's like, oh, I'd want Samantha, and Samantha like wants a total stranger, and no one wants poor Miranda in their imaginary threesome. So Miranda is wildly insecure about it, and like talks to her therapist about it, and is like begging people to like ask her to be a third. And so what I wrote down is, you know what, maybe if you weren't such a bitch to Skipper, your friends would have wanted you to be in their threesomes. That does not come up in the episode, but that's what I thought.
It does. No one mentions it.
Because you know what? They know. Yeah. They know what happened. And so they don't trust her.
They don't trust you, fam. Like, like you might try to swoop in on the man right then. You know what I'm saying?
And also, how could you trust her? Because by the end, so she's pestering, and like she comes onto the therapist all weird, and like is trying to like hit on everybody and their brother basically to get a threesome. And then she finally answers an ad in the paper with this kind of like goofy but nice couple, and she goes, so you'd want to have a threesome with me? And they go, yeah. And then she gets up and leaves the restaurant and lies to them and just ghosts them right there. And I was like, no one could trust you to be in their fucking threesome, Miranda. So that's why no one's inviting you.
Yeah, she just wanted validation. That's all she did. Like, yo, she needs that therapist so bad, because if you're to the point where like you feel so left out, you have this FOMO so bad about like a hypothetical scenario threesome with your friends, to the point where you would go to a newspaper, look up an ad, answer the ad, and show up to the date just to be like, just to hear them say, yes, we want a threesome with you, and then leave. That's all. Like,
crazy.
Miranda, crazy, that's crazy. That's literally the definition of crazy town. Like, this person should be committed for a while. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the only reason why it's somewhat charming is because it's on a television show. But if a friend of mine came to me and told me they did all this, I would immediately tell them, you need to seek help. Like, we can't be friends. I can't have you in my life. You're clearly a toxic individual.
You got problems, kid.
You got problems, kid. Listen, as now that we are in the age of mental health and understanding mental health and trying to, help others, that would be my first thing. Like, as a friend, I'd be like, look, I don't think you should be practicing law.
I'd be like, you have a lot of self-esteem issues.
Like, think about that. She practices law.
Yeah.
He practices the law. She defends people in a courtroom, and you out here acting like that? Nah, fam, you're not ready for this world.
I know. If you knew your lawyer was like desperately seeking threesomes, I think you'd have a lot of questions.
But not for sex. Like, here's the thing.
Not even for sex though. Just for self-validation. Yeah.
That's it. That's the thing. If I knew somebody, if a friend of mine was like totally into threesomes, I ain't gonna judge you for that. Do your thing. Yeah. As long as no one's getting hurt, you're not messing up. You're not messing around with anybody's life and like messing things up, and it's all good to go.
Yeah.
Cool. But you're only looking for threesomes just to hear somebody say that they want to do it with you, and then that's it. Nah, man.
Yeah, that's weird.
I can't. Yeah. I mean, you got to have. I mean, I guess the only thing that's kind of her saving grace is the fact that she does have a therapist. So clearly,
yeah. And the therapist is like, start coming 3 times a week. A nice little button on that.
Sessions. She only was coming once a week. He was like, nah, I need you to 3 days.
I need you here a lot more often.
I mean, and he does have a point, because at some point during one of their sessions, she asked if he would have a threesome with her.
Yeah, that's wildly inappropriate. Like,
wildly inappropriate.
Like, most therapists would be like, you need to change therapists.
Yeah. I mean, that's what he really should have done. Instead of saying, see me 3 times a week, which he definitely needs. But I definitely would be like, I think you need to see another therapist. Like, you literally just kind of cross that boundary a little bit. But at the same token, I understand why he wouldn't do it, because
as far as he's concerned, he was like, no, immediately. You know.
Yeah, he didn't.
And I think he knew she didn't have like an unhealthy fixation on him as the therapist. He knew it was like a weird moment of desperation.
It was that he knew that it wasn't really like a sexual
insecurity.
Thing. It was about she was like trying to get that validation, like that. She was trying to get that insecure bug out of her. But still, though, like that, her whole episode was just her trying to find somebody to say, have a threesome with me. Yo,
that's what dating apps are for now, because I've been swiping through and I've seen some where it is like the couple and they're like, we are looking for a third. here's our stuff, and that's not for me. So I'm always like, okay, bye. But shine on. And I did get a message on a dating app one time that was like, hey, we're looking for a third. We think you're really cute. Do you want to join?
That's hot.
And I was like, well, no, thank you. I've been very flattered.
I mean, that is flattering. And, actually, that makes a lot of sense, especially like now during our global situation.
Mm-hmm.
I can see a lot more couples asking, for threesomes now.
Yeah, you gotta spice it up.
They're like, listen, we sick of each other. We literally seen each other all day, every day for the past year. I'm ready to. It's like either this or kill each other. So
yeah, one of them's healthier.
That's for sure. But yeah, Miranda, it's really upsetting me because even though this was kind of like a quirky toxic behavior, but between this episode and last episode, I'm not feeling Miranda.
I'm really realizing I don't think she comes into her own as the character we all know and love until season 2, it seems.
Okay. That's
because I don't remember a lot of this behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody's a little like loose and flighty still, their character, obviously it's only season 1. So Carrie's pretty well defined, I think.
Her biggest flaw. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, well, no, it's okay, because I just was like, well, Charlotte kind of is too, and Samantha. Miranda's really sort of like flying between like your really smart, sensible friend and your kind of like overly neurotic, like insecure friend, and they finally find a good middle ground with her as things progress.
Yeah, because right now that's what I'm saying. She's like right now. Carrie's kind of like that mix. Like at some point she has her head screwed on, and then other points she is just wackadoo, especially when it comes to who, which
we'll get there.
We'll talk about.
I didn't think he was going to show up, and then boom, halfway through the episode.
Okay, because she mentioned them at one point in the episode. Before they showed him, I was like, okay, they're still together, whatever. How I feel about that, and then like he appears, and then like, and then even though in this episode he actually wasn't that much of a douche.
Not outwardly.
Yeah, like look, he was kind of a douche, but like it seemed unintentional.
Yes and no. Leaving out that you were married before, kind of not cool.
Right.
But at the same time, they're still. Again, how long have they been dating?
Right. Yeah.
And,
Well, she said at this point, I believe she said in the episode, I think she said like a few months.
A few months? Okay. That. Then, you should probably bring up that you've been married.
Right. Yeah.
By now.
Also, maybe why he got divorced too? It's probably.
Yeah, that was interesting. So, Carrie meets with his ex-wife. I was called ex-husband. I'm like, no. Carrie meets with Big's ex-wife under the pretense of selling this children's book, which is just so hilariously weird.
Well, off of the advice that Miranda gave her, because
don't take Miranda's advice.
Yeah, this bitch crazy. Like clearly, I mean, I'm assuming her friends were unaware that she was out here looking for that validation. They kind of were doing their own thing, but it was her advice. And she was like, look up the ex. First of all, let me tell you, PSA to anybody out there. Never go looking for your current significant other's exes. Also, if y'all break up, don't go looking at the new one. Don't go looking for the new person that they're with and seeing who they're with and none of that. Because let me tell you something, you're only gonna find pain. That's all you're gonna find. You're not gonna find.
You go looking for trouble, you are going to find it.
You're not gonna find anything that's gonna make you feel better or validate your feelings or seeing them like unhappy, because especially now with social media, everybody puts up a front of happiness. So you're not gonna see anything that's gonna make you feel better. So don't fucking do it, because you don't need to see it. You don't need to know about it. They're in the past. As long as they're not in your life, like if they don't, especially if you're dating somebody, like if they don't have kids with their exes, then you don't need to worry about them. That's it.
Yeah.
Leave that shit alone.
Yeah. And this is it's extra kind of stalkery crazy because she goes and meets her in person without telling her who she is. Of course, they do reveal that like Big's ex-wife kind of figured it out or kind of knows that it's Big's current girlfriend, but it's still crazy.
That's another problem, is because, like I said, he wasn't an entire douche, but in that moment he was kind of a douche. Here's why. Him and his ex-wife still communicate. I mean, I'm assuming she called him up and was like, hey.
I was like, hey, your crazy girlfriend fucking contacted me. Could you tell her to not? Thanks.
Right. Which is, again, I don't know what's wrong with Carrie, because like this is clearly a toxic relationship. Neither one of them are being completely honest with each other, and two, like they're doing all these like crazy things. Like either he's gaslighting her or she's out here doing like some wild shit. Like this, like with the whole thing at the restaurant, she like went off on him thinking like she was his secret sex.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And then like in this relationship, in this episode, she's going off on him because like he still talks to his ex, or like because he didn't disclose everything. She's right for being upset about it, but like her behavior was wrong. Like you don't go behind your current person's back to talk to their ex and then fuck around and befriend them.
Yeah, because I was like, clearly the ex-wife is cool and pretty awesome,
right?
And Carrie like wants to be friends with her. I think it's hilarious. Their first meeting, Carrie's hair is curly like it kind of naturally is, and the next one she's totally like straightened it like to match the ex-wife, and it's the fun. I was like, oh, I mean, it's a good look on her, but still, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, at least the ex-wife was cool about it too.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of how she probably figured it out.
Oh yeah, because the ex-wife was like, "Oh, you straightened your hair."
Yeah,
like single white female. Okay, great.
Yo, Carrie is lunching, bruh.
And so yeah, because the big reveal is that they divorced because Big cheated on his ex-wife with the ex-wife's best friend.
Yeah,
which is like the lowest of the low. It's so bad. Oh my god.
And here's the thing. I, as a person who has done that,
Christopher,
I'm listen. I'm not.
At least you're copping to it.
I'm copping to it. It wasn't my finest moment. Again, this was like when I was like 19 years old. So I
just like scolding you with your full name.
That's fine. Low-key, it goes right to my heart because like that's what my parents do. Like anytime when I was younger with my dad, if I was doing something that really annoyed him, he'd be like, Christopher. And I'm like, oh. Like that was like how the hyenas and like, that was me. If he said my full name, I'm like, yeah. What was I saying?
You've done this. And...
Oh yeah, so yeah, as a person who has done that, like cheated on a significant other with their best friend, not my proudest moment. I get why he wouldn't tell Carrie, but at the same token, if you see this being a relationship and things of that nature, not telling the whole truth is just the same as lying. Because like she didn't ask why they broke up, but
lies of omission are still lies.
Still lie. Like you should have told. Like one, you should have told her you had been married before. Like the fact that y'all been dating for months and this has just never come up. That shouldn't be your excuse, my guy.
Yeah. Like, oh, you never asked. Okay, well, fuck. Come on.
That's where he like. I was like, that's why I put it in my notes. I'm like, is he the most clueless motherfucker of all time? Because how does he not understand how these things? Like you were married at some point, so clearly you've been in a relationship, so you have to know what some things are important. I mean, obviously you got divorced because of clearly immaturity. Like,
yeah, for someone so suave or presented as suave, he's like kind of dumb.
Yeah,
he's like kind of dense. Like,
yeah, like he figured out how to charm, but not be like an adult.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Which is also scary because it's like that's what I'm saying. He's low-key kind of like a sociopath because like you figured out how to charm people, but then like you fuck with them emotionally all the time. Like that's so you didn't know how to like be in a healthy relationship. So you basically it seemed like he learned how to charm people just so he could like fuck them, and that's about it. Like he didn't learn how to actually be like a husband or wife. Or, sorry, husband or boyfriend. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, he's the worst.
I'm telling you, that's why every episode, guys, if you are watching the show with us, if you are a guy, whatever he does, do the opposite.
Do not do
it. if you're just a guy who's like not looking to be in a relationship, be him.
Yeah.
You be him and you'll be fine. But if you're a person that's like looking for something real, do the opposite of everything he's doing.
Well, that's what's so funny is Samantha is very open about, I do not want a relationship. I just want to have sex with people.
Right.
And that's why it's so funny she gets entangled with the married guy, which, look, not cool. We still like Samantha.
Yeah.
And it is ultimately on the guy who's cheating, but like, don't go after married men. That's a shitty. Well, don't go after someone who's taken.
I feel like at least from how they set this relationship up, I don't think that she was the pursuer. I feel
that's true. I don't think she was
the one that was out here pursuing her. Mm-hmm. Like the way they said that he met and stuff of that nature, like I think he was the one that initiated their relationship. And I hate to do this. I got to give him a slight bit of props because he at least told Samantha the situation.
Yeah.
At least she didn't just find out that he was married.
True. He was up front at some point that like, I am married. And still she was like, well, I don't care. And that's like still not cool, but like.
Right, yeah. But at least he was up front. Because most married men, if they're cheating on their wives, they don't tell the mistress. They usually find out later, like a few months down the road when the mistress is like, got like, found connection with them. And like, it's like basically his girlfriend. That once they become that guy's girlfriend, that's when they're like, oh, I'm actually married. And that's when they drop the bomb when like the girl's already in love with them and they, can low key see past it.
Yeah. And that's what's so funny is like, I forget, I think Charlotte or Miranda is like, oh, he's never going to leave the wife for you. And she's like, yeah, I know. And I don't care. That's totally fine with me. I don't want him to. Just like Kevin the sex and that's it. And then she bumps into him on the street with his wife, and the wife puts two and two together because she's not stupid. And then is like, look, and then I loved the three-way calling gag was pretty fun. I was great, like, I like all the kind of on the nose but still well done little three-way gags they do in this episode. But he's like, I'm doing it. I'm leaving my wife, and she's like, no, you are not. And then the wife calls her. Fuck you. She's like, no, and the poor wife is like, I'll do a threesome if it's what he wants or you want. And Samantha very wisely is like, oh my god, no, that's not what we're trying to do here. I'm hanging up on both of you. Goodbye.
Well, I was
probably still getting divorced, sadly.
Oh, yeah, definitely gonna get divorced. Yeah. maybe they'll try some counseling, but in the end. It is just the end is near. Yeah, it's just gonna be like how much time in between before they both figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's funny too because the wife, she's actually that actress. She is in Ozark.
Oh, really? Oh,
yes. I don't know if you watch that show, but her character in Ozark is scary.
Oh, really? Oh, that's funny.
Like this bitch kills indiscriminately. Oh, no. If you cross her in any way, like if you use a fork instead of a knife in a situation, she probably kill you. Like that's how quick off the hand.
Don't cheat on her then.
Yeah, so that's why I was wondering because like as soon as it popped up on screen, I was like, oh shit, Samantha gonna die. But she actually turned out to be somewhat level-headed.
Reasonable,
yeah. I mean, I personally, I don't. Because, like, I respect what she was trying to do. Like, by trying to save the marriage, she was like, listen, if this is what you need for us to be together, I will do this for you. I fucks with that. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. What she's not aware of is he didn't want, if he wanted a threesome, he would have said, I wanted a threesome. He cheated on you. So, clearly, he wanted something different.
He wanted out.
Yeah, he wanted out. That's why he he literally told you he wanted a divorce and he was gonna leave you for the other girl. So like it wasn't a threesome that he wanted, it was he didn't want you. And that's what you're saying. Like ultimately, even if they do some counseling and shit like that, they're probably gonna get divorced. Like
there's no coming back from that shit.
Yeah, because you can't even be like, I don't know what I was thinking. I was just wrapped up in it. Like, nah, bro, you should have told me you wanted a divorce. That's done. That's a done.
You told me you were leaving me.
You were done. Yeah, you were leaving me for like you were willing to uproot your entire life to go be with this person. Nah, bro, we done. There's no, I don't know how you work through that. You got to be a strong motherfucker.
Which is interesting because when Carrie confronts Big at the end of the episode about it, and he's like, because one of the big things that freaks Carrie out is not only was he married, they also had a threesome at some point, he and his wife, and she's like all weirded out by that because she's very into the like one-on-one, which is fine. But he's like, look, we had the threesome because we were trying to find someone or something else outside of each other, and then he ended up cheating. Like, that's the path that Samantha's affair partner is like going down for sure.
Right. Yeah. And that's the crazy thing too, because in that situation, low key, Big kind of, him and his ex-wife kind of went about it in the proper channels.
Yeah.
He didn't just like straight up, eventually he did cheat on her, but he didn't just straight up cheat on her from the start. At least how they gave us the information in this episode, he seemed like he was pretty much a good husband-ish.
Good enough.
That regard, in that regard of like not cheating on her up until the point he cheated on her. So like he did the steps. He's like, hey, let's maybe try a threesome to see if that spices up our relationship. And then it didn't. And then he went on. But so I kind of like, again, I don't want to give him credit because he's such a douche, but there are moments where he has where I'm like, all right, maybe he could be a good person someday.
Yeah.
If he went and got therapy,
Yeah.
Like, him and Miranda both need to be, 3 sessions a week therapy.
Yeah.
Because my man's got some intimacy issues.
Yeah, because Clara, at the end, Carrie declares threesomes are easy, intimacy is hard. I don't know how true that is, but it's not true.
Well, I mean, as a guy, I could definitely have sex with somebody quicker than I could fall in love with them.
True. Oh yeah, that makes sense. I think that's a lot of people. Yeah.
I mean, even though some people see sex as intimacy, it all depends on who you are as a person. Like, I think like sex, because like to me, sex is like, I don't consider that intimacy because that's literally like our nature taking over. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like even before, because if you think about like when I was 11 or 12, I wasn't thinking about like those thoughts, but like. No. As soon as I hit 13, my brain was like, hey, you like girls. You really like girls.
A lot.
You know what I mean? Like, and that I didn't make an active choice to start like that was a natural state of mind. But love is something that like you make a choice. Like you can fall in love with somebody unless you're being like manipulated by a sociopath like Carrie is. But for the most part, you kind of make that choice to pursue that notion. So
because you could be like Samantha who only wants sex. She does not really do intimacy. So you can get sex almost anytime you want. But like having the deeper connection, the deeper relationship is more work for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And my man Big, he needs a lot of work. Because like, well, they both do, real talk. Like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like this relationship is worse than like a Ross and a Rachel situation. It's like at least they kind of like loved each other. Like so you can kind of forgive some of their toxicity, but and Carrie and Big is like I don't even think they really like each other. I think they just like the idea of each other.
Yeah. So sometimes I do wonder. I'm like, do you even like? How much do you really like him, and how much does he really like her?
I don't think that they truly like each other. I think they like. It's like I think they have people have like a template of like their soulmate, and I think that like they've seen each other as that template, so they're like, all right, well, we got to make it work because you fit what I said was my soulmate, so we got to do it. But like, nah, bro, y'all don't fit. Y'all clearly don't fit. Y'all, you gaslight her, she goes crazy, then you like try to bring it down, and like then she does her own crazy shit off of nothing that you said or did because her friends lit her up, and now like come on, bro. This is bad. It's bad for both of y'all. I don't understand how this is still a thing. It really upsets me.
No, it's
watching somebody drink poison, even though you told them it's poison.
Right, yeah, because it's but sometimes you just don't learn. Like it's it's the Wizard of Oz. Like, why didn't you just tell her the damn shoes would take her home at the beginning? She had to learn it for herself.
Right. She had to go through this journey and fight fucking flying monkeys and shit like that. Like, did she really? Or could she just went to Oz?
Yeah. Because like I was, like I said before, I was really hung up on that one guy, and everybody was like, you gotta kind of let that go. And I was like, no, never. And now I'm like, oh yeah. That was never really gonna come together.
It's always in hindsight when we figure it out. It's always after the fact. You know what I mean? After, it's like always it's because the thing about it is like when you're in those kind of relationships, they don't break your heart until they break your heart. So even in a relationship, even though they're like kind of abusing you, they don't break your heart yet. So like you don't feel betrayed and hurt. But when they finally do, break, that when that final straw hits and it breaks your back and they break your heart, that's when you kind of like all those things that happen in the relationship, you start thinking back, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that I lasted this long. Like, why was I?
Yeah.
Like, how was I in love with this person?
That took a long time because there was a lot of runaround, and you think this moment would have been it, because one time went to a big Halloween party, and I thought we were kind of gonna meet there. That was not the implication, but like he never mentioned he was bringing another girl. And then I walked downstairs, and there they were in nearly matching costumes, and I like that Vertigo film effect, from Jaws, where it like zooms in and pans out at the same time. And so I kind of muscled through the party, and got home, and then the next day I caught a cold, so I just like laid in bed, and it was raining, and like if you've ever seen that's Adele's Someone Like You song, have you ever seen the video of the sad French bulldog staring in a mirror listening to that song? That's what I look like under blankets, just never mind, I'll find someone like you. And I watched Silver Linings Playbook that day and cried during that because I was like, those crazy people can find love. How come I can't? What the fuck? It was a really rough day. It was a really tough day.
No, I'm laughing because like real talk, I've definitely had that situation where like you're just so down, like, well, I'm gonna watch a rom-com just to, I just want to see somebody be happy.
I need somebody to be happy, and then I was like, I'm still unhappy. Oh my God.
I've done that where like my movie's Hitch. Like every time, like if I'm being sad, like I watch Hitch, I'm like, where's my date doctor? What the fuck?
Where's my Will Smith? Why isn't he helping me?
Oh my God, that's so funny. That's the thing about the whole toxic relationship. Like even when your friends are telling you that person's wrong, here's the thing: it's also a little bit of pride that kind of stops us from getting away. And not that like I can fix it, pride. I mean, it is some of that, but I think it's also, at least for me, and I think we all maybe feel this way as well. It's like you rationalize it in the sense of like this: how can this person be so bad if I'm in love with them? I'm a smart person. I'm very aware of what's going around me. I have a lot of knowledge. I have I trust my instincts, and
I'm not dumb. How can I like a bad person?
So it's like if I have all these great qualities,
or the wrong person.
So that's what I'm saying. Like if you feel that you have all these great qualities, then there's no way that you would let yourself fall in love with a toxic person. So that's why like, you kind of don't listen to your friends. Also too, 9 times out of 10, when things are going well, you don't really talk to your friends about that. We usually times when we're asking for advice, it's usually because we just told them a bad story. So it's like you also can lie to yourself because it's like, well, you've only heard the bad things. Like I only come to you like, oh, can you believe such and such did this or did that? Like that's because you're only hearing these bad things. So like you're thinking to yourself like, well, if they've only heard these bad things, this is the form of thought that they formulated for this person, but they don't know the good parts. When truth be told, they do know the bad parts, which means that's why they know that this person's not good for you. Because when you come to them and tell the bad parts and like how bad it is, they kind of get who they are seeing who that person is for real, not how you see them. And that's why you should low-key listen to your friends, depending on,
for the most part,
situations. Like
until they tell you to go lie and try to meet your current partner's ex-partner.
Right. If they tell you some shit like that.
At her place of work, no less.
Well, that's one thing, too. Miranda might have given her that toxic advice, but Carrie went out and did it.
Carrie took it to the next level.
She actually went out and did it. Like, at best, if anything, she could have just like, because this is still internet age. She could have
not quite.
It wasn't not like how sophisticated as we have it now, but she's a prominent book
publisher.
Editor. Publisher, excuse me. Yeah, publisher. So like, publisher. You probably could have looked up the company name, looked up to see who she was within the company, just seeing her face, and then move the fuck on.
Yeah, you didn't have to go schedule a meeting with her
and make up a fake book story that you have.
Make up a fake book story.
Yeah, and then go and have lunch with her for apparently 4 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, a whole bottle of wine with her. Y'all shared a whole bottle of wine together while you were trying to investigate.
Yep.
You're crazy.
Oh, going off the rails on a crazy train.
So now we got to talk about my girl,
Charlotte.
Yes.
No, so much plot for Charlotte in this episode.
So much plot for her.
This is a very Charlotte-heavy episode.
I'm trying. Let me ask you this. It may be. Tell me if you're of this opinion. I feel like Charlotte might be low-key the luckiest girl in New York.
Well, yes and no.
The past 4 episodes, she has basically. It keeps opening up with her dating the perfect guy, but then they end up having this like weird quirk, which I don't even think this episode's guy was weird. It got weird at the end, but like him wanting to have a threesome is not weird, but his behavior throughout the episode got weird.
I think she's in some ways the unluckiest girl because I was writing down, where's my note? I was like, where, and I don't mean to impugn this guy's sexual preference or any of the things, but I was like, I wrote down, where is Charlotte finding all these freaks?
Well, she found this one at a
charity benefit.
A charity benefit, yeah.
Because she meets all these guys who seem like marriage material and very straightforward. They all present like these dream guys, and then the end that they're on her wavelength with like things she wants to be in. So, and then out of the blue, they're like, I want the freakiest shit you could think of.
That's true. One guy wanted to put it in her butt. One guy wanted to do blowjobs, and now this guy's like, "Hey,
now this guy's like, let's
fuck another girl with me."
Yeah, and she doesn't ever, I think, give off those vibes. So I don't know where she keeps finding these guys who are like, "Oh yeah, I like the thing I like sexually, and I want you to do it." And it's always like she either is or feels pressured to do it, which is always bad. Like always feel bad.
That's the part where I always like, because like I'm looking back on these guys, they like the guy who wanted to have anal sex with her, when she said, "Hey, I'm not gonna do it," he was like, "All right, cool, we'll just keep."
That guy was all right.
He was all right. The guy who wanted blowjobs, he was a little bit immature about it, but also that's not like a crazy thing for him to want.
No, that wasn't. Like, like freak is the wrong word, because it's not. None of the things they want is that freaky.
Yeah, that, and then even the guy wanted a threesome. That's not terrible. Like it's not like he was like, "Hey, I want you to like, whip the girl or something like that." Like dominate her.
No one's requesting
that would have been a little bit extreme, but like
no one's requesting BDSM stuff.
It's like, are these guys? If these guys are so perfect, I feel like Charlotte might have some hangups, because every time that she breaks up with it, it's because she's not like willing to explore things sexually. Like she's like so repressed.
She's very sexually repressed that way.
Yeah. Like, I mean, this guy, I mean, I don't know what made him so perfect. I mean, they described it, but I didn't see it in the episode.
It was just, they got all these benefits. He run in the same circles. I think he comes from money as well, because Charlotte's very waspy, upper crust society kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think he's just sort of that same blue bloodish vibe.
Okay. Which is so funny, because usually the people that come from that society are either two things: super freaks or really repressed. There's no in between.
Yeah, I
like rich society, that you get two things: they're either super repressed or like pretend to be repressed in like the freakiest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah. No, I think that's what Charlotte's running into. Is she is genuinely repressed,
right,
that way, and is gravitating towards what end up being the polar opposite, which is the like pretending to be repressed but super freaky underneath.
Right. And oh man, I thought, man, when the dream sequence, I was mad about it because I thought like she did it. I was like, oh shit, big up.
I did too.
And it's like, oh, I had a dream, bitch.
Yeah, because I wrote down, I was like, oh, and like we get like the shot of her from the back and she's naked and da. But no, that was a big old fake out. But this is the other problem, is the guy, with the exception, ironically, of the anal sex guy, they're all very aggressive about the thing they want, and they don't ever let up on her. So the whole episode, everything they went to together, he was like, what about that chick? What about that chick? What about that chick? And she's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And she was on board by the end. She kind of got into the idea by the end of it. Because I think it's almost because he wore her down, and then of course he starts making out with the other woman, and they basically kick her off the bed.
Yeah, forgets about Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte. I totally agree with you on that whole thing. Yeah, that was like the whole thing about it was he was so aggressive about it, and so it was creepy.
Yeah, you know it went from just like, oh, a fun idea that they might entertain to him being like every dinner out probably was like, hey, do you want to bang this waitress? Like, I'm trying to have my mozzarella sticks, you asshole.
It seemed like the only reason why he was like even taking her out was so they could like
scope out a girl. And it could only be a woman, which is like,
I mean, listen, sorry, that's
no homo, but
no homo, but like that's a guy's fantasy threesome. I get it, because like if you're not into women, that's, you know, it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's hypocritical, but that's how we work, baby. Like I can't watch another dude fuck my girl. Like I mean, I probably could if she was into it. I don't know. I've never done it before.
It's one of those things where it's like, it's not for me, but if other people are into it, again, as we've said a million times on the show, like, hey, it may not be our bag or your bag or whatever, but like, if you're healthy, healthy, and safe, who cares?
Is this our Seinfeld? Is there anything wrong with that episode? There's nothing wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
There's anything wrong with it.
I know.
Is this our episode?
I know. I hate when I say something like that, because it makes it sound like well, I don't approve. It's like, no, it's just not for me. It really like. There's nothing wrong with it not being a thing for me, but there's also nothing wrong with it being being something another person would want to do.
No,
I really genuinely don't care what people do behind closed doors, as long as everybody's happy, healthy, and safe.
Right. Yeah.
Just don't care.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
And not in a like non-activist supportive way, but like
just as a person.
As a person, like, do what you fucking want, man. Yeah. We got a lot of dumb rules in this society where people are like, well, you should be doing this, or you should be doing that, or you can't. No, man, you want to have sex with 2 other people?
That's because we're still following shit that was established like 500 years ago.
We are a puritanical country.
Yeah, some shit that like there's some rules and things of that nature that like swearing in school. Why can't a kid say fuck? If I want to say fuck, who gives a fuck? But somebody a long time ago was like, oh, that's a swear word. It's not in the Bible.
No, we were founded by Puritans, who were like the most uptight, speaking of repressed people, uptight, repressed people, and that has filtered down through the ages to like all our bizarro. We're totally fine with violence on like TV and movies. You show a butt or boobs or penis or vagina, and everybody loses their goddamn mind.
Right. That's so funny, because if you, well, we'll get it. That's another conversation.
That's a whole other conversation.
That's a whole other. It's like, you know, violence and sex is like
hand
in hand almost in the way.
Right.
So like that's. I mean, and that's too. Like you were saying, we're so repressed. That's probably why we have so many serial killers in America. Like literally, like the top 10 serial killers are American. So hey, what does that tell you?
And Barkley is among them.
Right. Barkley out there. Barkley out there. He getting the models done.
He has a body count, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, at least 12 TVs worth.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that's oh fuck, what was I saying? Oh, like threesomes. Here's the thing. Even maybe I'm a different kind of guy, but like when I was younger, the idea of them was like, I don't know. It's like, to me, it's like almost like an arrogance. The fact that guys want to have threesomes, because like you think you're so gifted in the bedroom that you could satisfy 2 women, or you think that you're such a king that you should be satisfied by 2 women. Like that's such a arrogant thing to think about. But like I'm now that I've gotten older, I still would probably try a threesome, but I would get into it more. It would be more practical, because
one, a team effort.
Yes, it's a team effort. Because especially if you're having a threesome with like some strangers, obviously that's a different set of rules. But like if you're having a threesome with a significant other and another person, like you got to establish rules. Like, you know, Charlotte and her man Jack didn't establish any rules. Like he just took her to this masquerade party, which is the stereotypical rich people.
Yeah, the 50 Shades of Grey,
sex party,
sex party, eyes wide shut, all that.
Let me tell you something. If I don't give a fuck how rich a person is, if they took me to that party, I'm like, well, we got to go, because it could be a sex party or it could be a murder party, and if I'm the only black person there, I'm definitely getting the fuck out. You know
Did you see that movie, The Lovebirds, with Kumail Nanjiani and Issa Rae? No. It's all right, but there is a thing where they go to like a weird rich people like masquerade thing that they show in the trailer, but then it's for like an orgy, and they call these people up, and she's like, is it by like lottery or can we sign up? Like she's all into it. It was really funny.
Like a fucking key party and shit. Yeah. And it's always, and that's the thing too, is like what it was like actually last year, 2020, like early 2020, there was a big like sexual neighborhood, like a sex ring of like swingers in this neighborhood that they were like keeping, like basically this one couple was like the ringleader of it all, and they basically like they recruited people from within like the PTA list. So like they just had this neighborhood.
Use the phone tree.
Yeah, they recruited people basically like with the PTA meetings and recruited all these people. They were having like weird sex parties in their basements, and like everybody was in on it. Like it literally, like it was an entire neighborhood strip that everybody knew, but nobody spoke about it. And like I think they tried to recruit somebody, and she was like, "Oh, fuck that," and then that's how it got outed. So,
okay.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing too. Is like I think about threesomes, like it could be fun, but I'm thinking about it practically. It's like, all right, how much work I gotta do? You know what I'm saying? Because as a man, especially if you're a man with pride, like you think about. I think most men, if you pride yourself in the bedroom. Like you think about the work that you're putting in to please one girl. Now you gotta do that double time. So
well, theoretically, that's what the other gal is there for, or other guys to help. You know,
in theory, but it also depends on
theoretically the work should go in thirds, right?
I mean, you would think so, but you never know. You know what I'm saying? Because you could get a person that's here's the thing. Because there are people who would maybe down for a threesome, but they ain't down to put in that work.
Yeah.
But no, that's because I'm saying, like, if you have a threesome, it also depends on how much work that person put in. Because you know, you can have somebody that like is down for a threesome, but it's also a flopping fish in bed. So if they ain't putting in any work, you got to do work for both. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it all depends on who you got, what rules you establish, and things of that nature. But also, it's also the simple fact too. Is like, you know, if the rules are established that like you can't, like if you're the guy and you can't do anything with the other girl, now it's up to your wife or your significant other to put in the work to please both. So somebody's gonna get screwed in this situation.
Not in the fun way.
Not in the great way. Like, like that's what I always think about is like the logistics of it. It's like it's as an idea, it seems fun, but it also feels like it's a lot of work. And if you're putting in that much work into sex, I feel like it'll stop being fun.
Yeah.
You see me? Yeah.
Yeah.
But at least she was, I mean, I got to give Charlotte credit is because she at least attempted to try and have a threesome.
And I'm glad, like, Carrie did say to her, though, like, don't do it just to make him happy, because, like, that's going to leave you out in the cold, Nick. I mean, it kind of did at the end, because they booted her right off that bed and gave her no mind at all.
Yeah, because really, they didn't, the thing about it is, too, is, like, she was doing, you could tell she was doing it for him, but the thing about it was, too, like, that's how, she kind of gave herself an excuse to get out of there because they were making out and stuff like that. But you could have hopped in on that.
She could have got in on.
You could have got in on that if you wanted to, but clearly you didn't. So you were like, oh well, they kicked me out. I guess I should just leave.
I guess I should go.
Like I fell off the bed, even though they didn't even like kick her off the bed. She just kind of slid down.
Yeah, like
and then fell. Like she just, as I said, she gave herself an excuse to get the fuck out of there. Like, they didn't really kick her out, but they also didn't stop her from leaving.
But they also didn't go, Charlotte, wait, don't go.
Right. Not even a little bit. They didn't even look up and see if she was gone. Like I feel like they probably fucked, and then he looked up later and was like, oh yeah, Charlotte was here.
Yeah, because like I think ultimately the show has like, at least at this point in time, a very negative view on threesomes as a whole, or you could almost argue polyamory as a whole, because it's like, look what happens. You get, you know, you either get screwed over like Charlotte, or, you know, it's a weird thing, so to speak, in Big's past, you know, and only like wild people like Samantha do it. And Carrie's final line of like, threesomes are easy, intimacy is hard, kind of writing off what, again, not for me, but for some people, they really like the polyamory, or are like cool with it and find connection with everybody involved, and like get over yourself. But then it's like also 1998, so they haven't really like
gotten
on that train yet either.
Ready for
Although
because was it at this time? I don't remember, but I feel like, wasn't that show Real Sex on HBO at this time, or was that like a few years later?
I don't know. I definitely couldn't watch that. I was too little.
Dude, we used to sneak and watch that until my parents put a lock on the. Here's the thing: my parents put a lock on. We used to be able to watch HBO, but here's the funny thing about it. Do you remember that show on MTV called Undressed?
Undressed.
It was like a drama. It was like a basically like it was like Degrassi, but on MTV. It was like before Degrassi was Degrassi, and it was like a show like that. And so like we used to watch things like Cinemax, HBO, stuff like that. Like my parents didn't have a lock on it. Like we watched whatever we wanted. But my youngest brother saw somebody in a bra on Undressed on MTV, and then my dad was like, "Oh, we gotta lock this." So like he like locked MTV, locked all the movie channels. So basically, like Stars and other basic cable.
No V-chip for this kid.
Yeah,
I had unchecked access to cable movies and television, but I never abused that power. Because I am also a colossal dork and didn't think to.
Gotta follow the rules.
Yeah, gotta follow the rules. Also, my parents were like pretty chill about most stuff, and were like, well, you know the difference between fantasy and reality, so whatever you see on TV, you don't actually do in real life. You can play pretend if you want, but like, you don't actually do any of the things you do see on TV.
Well, that's the thing is also too, like, I think I don't have any kids or anything, but I feel like as a parent, if you just shelter a kid away from it instead of explaining to them like why it's weird or why you don't want them to see it just yet or something like that, then it's just gonna make a kid even more curious.
Oh yeah, the more more taboo you make something, the more enticing it becomes. But
if my dad explained to me why he didn't want me to see, on a television show in a way that I could understand, because it's easy to explain to kids. Like I probably would have left it alone. Like I probably would have been so upset about it, or try to, late at night, 2 a.m. in the summertime, trying to figure out what the code was. Like, you know what I'm saying? Never figured.
So to answer your question though, Real Sex was on in the 90s. It was kind of like intermittent seasons and episodes, but there was definitely like some in 1998 and beyond. It started in 1990.
Really?
Yeah. And sorry, that's not an earthquake happening in the background. My cat is just,
he's going crazy.
Like it's time to party.
You got the zoomies?
He's got the zoomies. Zoomies are so cute.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's so funny to see how you can clearly tell from this episode that whoever was writing the show, I don't know if they were the writers themselves, or they were just like trying to present that image for the viewer to like make them seem like, hey, we're not that, we ain't that freaky. We keep a hat on it, you know what I mean? Like we can talk about anal sex and blowjobs, but like we're not gonna allow our characters to be out there doing it. Right?
This show
blowjobs that you never see any scene of like Charlotte doing it, like she refuses the blowjob. You know what I mean? So she's kind of like low-key Charlotte's kind of like the voice of the censors.
Yeah.
I mean, like at least the last few episodes, she's been the voice of the censors because she didn't do the anal sex, no blowjobs, and no threesomes.
Yeah, the show is like, we're going to talk about sex, but we also acknowledge that some things are still just a little too taboo for people, and we will not exactly shame them, but perhaps scold them appropriately.
Right. Which is funny because on that same network, you had Real Sex going on. Where it was like, I remember I watched an episode one time where they literally, it was a show about, the show was about masturbation. Mm-hmm. And they literally had like a montage scene of like 3 different women. They went to a booth with a camera and masturbated for camera.
Oh wow!
Like you don't see like any parts. Yeah. It's just like if the camera's like just centered on their face, and you're just watching them like go through the like the stages of pleasure to climax for like, I think it was like a 10-minute scene. I didn't know what was really going on. I was a kid, but later on, after I got older, I was like, oh.
There is an episode called Masturbation Club.
There you go.
And it's about something called Club Relate, the only heterosexual masturbation club in America. Okay. And in the early, like the first 1990 like run of it, there was a segment or episode called Sex for One, a masturbation class for women taught by Betty Dodson, PhD. She's no longer with us, but she was an American sex educator.
I don't think that's the episode that I'm thinking of. But
you watched the masturbation club?
I don't remember anybody being taught in the episode. I just remember like there was 2 women. There was one woman on there. There was 3 women. 2 of them I remember were very authentic. Like they were like literally having experience. And then there was like a 3rd girl who you could tell was clearly putting it on for the camera. Cause like the first 2 women, they went in there within like 10 minutes, they were out. Like, they didn't show the entire 10 minutes, but it was like little timestamps. And then like the first girl was like 5.5 minutes. She got her orgasm. She got the fuck out of there. The second girl was like 8 minutes. She got her orgasm. Then like the last girl, she was in there for 45 minutes. I was like, damn. And you could tell she was like putting it on, like you could tell it was an act. Like she really wasn't. Because even at the end, I remember it was like weird to me. At the end of her session, she like, this is so weird. This is how you know it was an act. She like at the end of her session, they had like in the booth, I guess they had like tissue. So she gets a tissue, like, dabs her head because she had been sweating, and like dabs herself, smells it, and then like does like this cute little smile to the camera and then throws it away and then leaves the booth. I was like, yeah, even me and like,
no one does that.
Like, nah, that ain't real. I hadn't even busted a nut yet, but I was like, that ain't real.
You're like, I know I'm 12, but that seems pretty fake.
That seems like an act. Like, who does that? You know what I mean? Who winks at a camera? Like, because like, I mean, yes, they were aware that there's a camera there, but
maybe she thought she was in an episode of The Office.
Nah, that bitch was trying to get chose for an HBO show. It's like, look, guys, I can act.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, if it was, where we are now, she might have gotten a show. Yeah. And everybody's getting a show now. They got, a show about a mosquito falling in love with a human, so fuck it.
Is that real?
No, straight up. It's called Thirst on Hulu. It's about a mosquito that bites a human, and after it sucks his blood, falls in love with the human that she bit.
Okay. I'll have to look that up.
I believe Maya Rudolph is the voice of the mosquito.
Oh, okay.
So it might be all right.
I love her, so it might work.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably at least mildly entertaining. At least because she's attached.
Yeah.
Incredible. Oh yeah. So we did Jack, threesomes. Miranda got issues.
Oh, I had a question about at the lunch table when they're first discussing the threesomes. Samantha says threesomes are the blowjob of the 90s, and anal sex was the blowjob of the 80s, and I just went, huh? Because I was like, were those what?
Yeah,
the metaphor analogies did not make sense to me.
Yeah, no, I don't
get what they were trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, because that doesn't really no.
None of it tracked.
Yeah, like a blowjob is a blowjob.
Yeah, blowjob's a blowjob. That's
like,
what all I could think was
like you can't compare a blowjob to anal sex. It's just totally two different things for everybody involved. So
yeah, it's not exotic. I would think. I think it's one of the. Neither is anal sex really. Those are kind of
low key. I feel like anal sex was probably more popular before blowjobs. Like I feel like blowjobs probably didn't really come into the realm of things until like maybe the 1800s. I think people were fucking in the ass like long time ago. Like
no, I think there's indications that both acts have been around since more or less the dawn of time.
I mean, I'm sure, but I feel like as far as popular or taboo subjects go, I feel like blowjobs were probably more taboo before anal sex was.
Maybe.
I mean, unless you were a Roman, then nothing was taboo.
No, yeah,
they just fucked. Like there was no gay or straight. It was just hey,
nice toga, you want to fuck?
That's pretty much it. I mean, from what I read about like Roman bathhouses, there was no like nobody was like, oh, you're gay because you fucked a dude. It was like, no,
nope.
you just fucked. That's all it was.
It was all about just getting it in.
It was just holes. That's all it was. It's like the Romans are like, is there a hole? Can I put my dick in it? Cool, let's do it.
And then they stabbed Caesar with and gave him 18 holes.
Sex and violence. There's always penetration going on in one of them. So I'm telling, hey ladies, let me tell you something. If your guy says he doesn't masturbate, get the fuck out of there. He's gonna stab you. If he's not doing this, he's gonna be doing this. All right. That's all I can tell you.
If you're only hearing the audio, there were hand gestures.
Yes.
I think you know which ones. Oh my god.
Yeah. So this episode, it was it's interesting. My whole take from it is one, Miranda cray.
Miranda's,
but she's not completely insane because at least she knows she got issues and she's seeing a therapist.
Yeah,
that's true. She gets cool points on that. Charlotte gets cool points for at least attempting to try to get out of her repressed sexual.
Do you think she was open to the threesome because of the whole blowjob debacle?
You know what I think it is? I think it's a mixture, not a mixture, a combination of the anal sex thing and the blowjob debacle.
And she's like, maybe I should be a little more open.
Yeah, because I mean, low key, every time
I just thought of that question.
No, that's great. Because like, if you think about it too, low key, it kind of makes sense that she would be a little bit. Because like, all right, she keeps finding these would-be perfect guys, but they want the only thing that's like, I guess, for lack of better words, wrong with them is that they want her to be a little bit more advanced in her sexuality than she is ready to be. So they break up. So maybe she, a combination of that and then like talking to her friends about it, and they keep telling her like, hey, why are you tripping? Just do it. It's fun. Like just experience
it. Give it a whirl.
Try it. Yeah. Just try it. Why not? Yeah. So a combination of that, like, losing these would-be perfect guys and then your friends telling you like, stop being a fucking pussy. That's probably why she at least gave the idea a thought, you know what I mean? And it probably didn't hurt that she dreamt about it. That probably helped her be a little bit more open to it too. Because usually if you're trying to avoid something, then you dream about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're gonna be
process your feelings about it in the dream, and sometimes you're like, oh, maybe I'm more into it than I thought.
Yeah, because in the dream, she seemed like she was way down for it. Yeah. Which is the opposite of what she was on a conscious level. So that's probably what sparked that interest in her. She's like, well, if I enjoyed it in the dream, I'll probably enjoy it in real life. Unfortunately, she kind of reverted back to that.
Yeah.
She kind of regressed. But I think that's what I'm saying. So I hope Charlotte becomes more open in other episodes because it seems like she's like, even though these guys had other than the anal sex guy, the other guys have been like a little bit aggressive and creepy about how they try to get her to do it, like the whole pushing the head down, and then like this guy on this episode, like, hey, what about that girl? Hey, what about that girl? Like, girl? Take it easy. Yeah. But and then anal sex dude was like cool about it, but like I feel like if she would just open up a little bit, we would, she would probably at least enjoy her dating life a little bit more. Like, a lot of the shit that's like causing her problems is her holding herself back from experiencing new things or trying something new. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, and then we got Carrie, which her biggest problem is this toxic ass relationship she's got going with Big. I don't know what's going on. Like, this is a clinic. Like, honestly, with these, like, every time they interact, this is like, I mean, they were basically showing people red flags. Yeah. Red flag. That's what I'm getting from this couple so far. Like, if you're watching this show, like, I'm honestly, even though it's annoying me, I'm low-key learning from it. Like, what to spot, like what to see, like if a person does this again. And I'm also realizing relationships that I've had in the past that were toxic like this. Like, they literally, some of the behavior that Mr. Big is doing, and like how Carrie is reacting, I've been that. And I've also been the opposite. I've also been Mr. Big in situations and realized my behavior is toxic. And like when I was easy to label a girl crazy or she's ridiculous or something like that, I've seen some things where I kind of sparked that.
See, this is not just a show for women. I think sometimes people write this off as like frivolous, and it certainly is in some aspects. I won't deny it. Yeah, but so are many shows. Right. Because this came out on around the same time as like The Sopranos, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, The Sopranos saved HBO," but also, I mean, I know a million women who love Sopranos. It is a good show, but as far as like appealing to women and being a women-driven show, it's not. Right. That's where Sex and the City came in. And I think the two of them together helped HBO. But people are like, Sopranos only, because it was just the case with so many things. People just give more credence to like male-dominated or more masculine shows as like being more serious and therefore better, which is not the case.
Right. Yeah, no, honestly, like a show like Entourage, that's a very guy show. Like that's
people have called it the male Sex in the City.
Yeah, like it, but it's not.
And it's even more frivolous.
Yeah, like no. Like even we were only 8 episodes into Sex in the City. Yeah, I can tell you, I've seen Entourage. I literally just watched it like a month ago, like the entire series. Oh yeah, it's in no way. I don't understand how they compare this to Sex in the City, because yes, there's some toxic things going on, but it's in Entourage. That's like one character in that show is like, some of the characters kind of match with some of the characters of Sex in the City, but like that is a guy-centric show for sure. Like, this is
a show. Were you ever worried that Vince was gonna do the movie and then he couldn't do the movie and then he could do the movie?
Yeah, because like, I mean, even though I enjoy the show Entourage, low key, the only person that actually grew as a person was Turtle. The rest of them just kind of like became more douchey. Yeah. But the only person and Drama, he was like a douchebag, but still kind of charming because he kept losing. Yeah. So like his douchebag actually, his douchiness hurt him. Yeah. Within his situation. So like he was kind of charming, but the rest, like Vince and Eric, like they just become bigger douches and they still get everything that they want. And like, so that's a very guy thing. That's a very guy show, because a guy written show, like that's kind of allows us like, hey, be an asshole, but guess what? When you're an asshole, you get everything you ever want.
You get everything you've ever wanted.
You get all the money, you get all
no
the power.
consequences.
Yeah. And I don't get, that's what I'm saying. You can't compare Entourage to Sex in the City. Again, I haven't seen the whole series yet, but just these 8 episodes, I'm like, nah, you can't. I won't put that on it.
Trust me, I have not seen all of Entourage, but I have seen enough of Entourage to know there's not. other than 4 friends,
right,
and some certain archetypes,
yeah,
and a big city, it's about where it and people having a lot of sex. That's about where it ends.
Yeah.
But the depth and reflection on said sex is not there in Entourage.
No. Yeah, because these, I mean, even though, like,
yeah.
Because even now in season 1, Sex and the City, even though the episodes aren't cyclical, like you have to watch every episode to know what's going to be on the next episode, but you can see a little bit of evidence of like lessons learned, and a little bit of growth, but you also see them backtrack a little bit, just like real life. You know, you learn a lesson, you implement it in your life, but then you have to learn another one. So that's always this back and forth going on, at least so far in this season I've seen so far. And that's, you can't compare Entourage to that, because there's really no back and forth. As far as like learning lessons and stuff like that, like again, really only one character kind of grows and becomes a decent human being, and that's Turtle, which is funny because he kind of started out as being the worst. But this episode was crazy. It was weird. Mr. Big still a douche, but not as douchey in this episode. He did leave some things out again that he should have told Carrie. Like, maybe she wouldn't have acted so crazy and looked for the ex and stuff like that. But also, just a PSA. If you're gonna talk about exes, spare some details, but also tell the truth. Yeah. Meaning, like, if you were married, tell the person that you were married before. That's important. And then if they, and then tell them why you're not married anymore. You know what I'm saying? But don't talk about like things like how good your ex was in bed or some shit like that. Yeah. No, like those details don't need to be discussed. You don't need to. Nobody needs to know that. Even if their person asks like how good were they in bed or like whatever, like anything about them of that nature, you don't need to answer that. Just tell. Yeah, that's. You don't have to have full disclosure about every single one of your exes. There are some things you just leave it away.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, like we all know that we've, especially if you're dating in the adult world, we all know that you've had exes that you've slept with other people other than me. So therefore, let's not make it a reality by talking about them. Yeah,
let's not like go in depth. I've always I read a lot of advice columns for fun and for work actually, but it's always like either the person wants to know about the like letter writer's ex, or the letter writer's like, I want to ask all these questions about their past, about their ex, and it's like, what are you trying to achieve?
Yeah, what is it gonna do for you?
Yeah, like you're saying, we're all like, in most cases we're all adults, and everybody's got a past in that sense, and like, why does it matter? Unless you're like looking for a pattern and you're looking for trouble.
Right. I mean,
you want some trouble.
If you feel like said person, if you're talking to somebody and you feel like they might still be in love with their ex, that doesn't mean you go look up the ex and see what they look like and see what they do for a living. That means you talk to your significant other, be like, hey, look, I have this feeling that you would like, especially if you know that person and their ex still talk. Like, if you have that feeling of like, hey, I'm feeling a little insecure because I feel like you might be leaving me for them, say that. Don't go find the ex and try to be their friend. That's some crazy shit.
That is
wow. Yeah. Anyway, this has been a great episode. This has been fun. We thank you guys so much for listening once again. And for watching, if you're watching once again, thank you so much for that. So, first of all, where can they find you, my friend?
They can find me on the internets, on Twitter and Instagram at Elizabeth Movies. Where can they find you, Chris?
And they can find me, if you're looking at the screen right now, that's my handle down there. But if you're not looking at the screen, you can find me at Mack Diddy Combs. That's MackDiddyCombs. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all under that same nature.
And then where they can find us, I finally have this down, so I'll say it this time.
Yeah. Come on, baby.
So on Facebook, we are just Show Me What Podcast. On Twitter, we are at capital S, capital W, podcast. So what podcast with the first two letters capitalized, basically. And then on Instagram, we're at Show Me What Podcast. But if you find us on one platform, you will eventually find us on all the other platforms if you're choosing. So,
yes. If anything, look for us on Instagram because we got the link up there to all of
it's super easy.
Yeah, so we got Anchor's amazing site. So boom,
Anchor's great.
You can look us there. But so find us on Instagram at Show Me What Podcast, and then you can find us on everywhere else because we got the links up and ready for y'all to enjoy. So if you're new to the show, thank you for watching and listening. And if you're a fan of the show already, we really, really appreciate you.
Really love you.
Really love you for
tell your friends.
And tell your friends. We need more views and listenings, and we'd love you for it. So thank you guys. And we are out.